What's happening? So we just did the video on the frame. Came out good. Frame looks awesome. Next video we're gonna do is gonna be I'm gonna clean up these triple clamps, disassemble AIRBOX, and probably disassemble this a little bit and clean it up. So next video is gonna be clamps, the AIRBOX, and the rear shock. Might throw something else in there depending on how long it ends up being. So I'm looking forward to it. Might do some Cerakoting on the clamps, maybe on the shock bodies as well. Something must have got lodged in between the spring and the shock body, as you can see. That is really ugly. Space on both sides of the spring is even, so nothing's like bent or anything. I thought maybe something bent and was rubbing, but that's not the case at all. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty ugly, so I probably won't disassemble it. I like using the air dry Cerakote. I mean, for more stuff that's gonna see more, you know, abrasive wear and everything, I'll use the bake-on stuff. But for larger items that I can't fit in the oven anyway, because I'm only going to have a small oven for now, I'm going to use the air dry stuff. So clean this up a little bit. Got a lot of crap on there, and that stuff's tough to get off. So right now we're going to disassemble the AIRBOX. Got the AIRBOX. This is off of a 19 YZ250F. Complete new design for this year. It's similar to last year, except last year didn't have these whatever the hell you want to call them, wings or whatever. This thing's filthy. Best way to do is disassemble it. You're never going to get it as clean as you can as if you clean it while it's all together. Now, over the years, on my 14 and on this, I found that these Phillips head screws strip out very easily. Yeah, they say there's a special Japanese screwdriver. Ooh, who cares? I've never used that crap. If you use the right screwdriver, you'll be fine. What I do with these is I have a impact screwdriver, and the bit on it is awesome. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and smack it because there's no need for it, but I just use it as a regular screwdriver. The bit is super heavy duty, and it's very I don't even know what the word for it is, coarse bit, I guess you could say. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop these two screws out, and then there's no push pins in this one like there was for the 14 through 14 through 18, excuse me, had the push pins that you pop out, and there's one screw in the middle. This has just the two screws, so we're going to go ahead and pop them out, and then we're going to pop out all the screen screws. I might cut my screen out. I don't think with the fuel injection bikes you really have to worry about the backfiring as much as you used to with carbureted bikes. I'm sure I would notice a little power difference. I did drill some holes in my AIRBOX cover just to get more air in there. I noticed that when I start the bike with this off, the throttle response is amazing. So to me, that just tells that it needs more air. I mean, you could mess with the mapping and everything, but there's there's easier ways around it. Sure, a lot of people that don't understand the mapping, I do, but this is just an easier way to get more air, and see some factory. A lot of factory teams do it. It seems to be more common over in the MXGPs, but so yeah, we're gonna get this disassembled. Couple things to be careful about. There is sensor in here, so I will probably take the sensor out first. There's going to be an O-ring in there. Don't lose the O-ring. If the O-ring is damaged or worn out, replace it. It shouldn't really be, because I mean, the thing never has to come out. So we're going to go pull the sensor out, and then we're going to pull this little flap off, and then we're going to get the screen out. And once we pull the screen out, you can pull the rubber part of the airbox up through this plastic part, and we'll begin cleaning. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pull the sensor out. It's the same type of screw, so I'm going to use that screwdriver that we just talked about. Pull the sensor out. Now when I disassemble stuff, I like to use these trays. There's all divided sections. These are full of parts already from taking the bike apart. But I mean, I have 4 of these, or 3 of them. I could actually use one more. But these work awesome for when you pull your bike apart. Take like say you have one shroud, you take all the bolts from that one shroud, put them in one section. I mean, I'm experienced enough to know I can put all my bolts in a pile and I know where they all go. But for people that aren't as experienced, it's a good idea to go out and get yourself one of these, because section by section you can just split up all your bolts, and you can label them if need be. I don't need to, but whatever works for you. That's a great idea. So we're going to finish pulling this sensor out. The screw's not that long. Pop this bad boy out of here. Oh. I guess on the 19 there is no O-ring. There was on the 14. But this is your air sensor. It's a little dirty. Probably a good idea to keep this a little cleaner than this one is. I mean, I did a half tear down and cleaned the AIRBOX, I think maybe 3 rides ago. It might have been before holiday. So take this out, set it off aside. Make sure you're not going to drop it or step on it or snap it. For right now, I'm just going to set this up there. So we got the sensor out. What we'll do next, we'll pop this debris cover off here. I'm only using this Mondo screwdriver just because of the type of head it has. It's a really good head. That's what she said. Anyway, so I pulled that off. Set that aside. Now we're going to go ahead and pull the screen off. There is going to be some junk in there. I think one of these was already stripped out. These things are like butter. You want to almost think they're made by Kawasaki or something. So we'll go ahead and pull these out. Got all the screws out. Go ahead and pop this screen out. This slides under this lip here, so you just gotta, give it a little tug. Sure you guys are good doing that. So the rubber part of the AIRBOX actually kind of acts as your gasket. There is a raised edge, and this raised edge is going to sit in this groove right here. So that's pretty much the gasket. And with that screen being off, you can just work this sucker out of here. Come on. Oh, this went flying. There's just a little insert here. This bad boy right there. So we got it apart. Pretty clean in there. It's really not too horrible. I frequently clean this stuff, so I'm not really too worried about it. There's a little bit of debris down in there, but I mean, I don't know if it's been sitting on the bench for 4 days, so could be from that. So we got that apart. I pull my clamp off here. Grab it Allen here. The clamp off. So that's ready to start being cleaned up. we'll set that aside. And next we'll disassemble the probably the rear shock. I'll show you and walk you through how to do that. So we got our shock here. I already went ahead and loosened the preload nut. And then we pull this spring off. So you don't want to bring this all the way to the top. And everyone, you know, I'm sure there's a million ways people do this. This is how I do it. So if you have a better technique, then go with what you know. Usually you can just turn the shock or spring and it will start to take the preload off the spring. It's going to get to a point where it's going to loosen too much and you're just going to have to do it by hand. So what this is going to do is this is going to allow you to have play in your spring so you can slide it up and get this plate. There's a, you know, the bottom plate with the groove in it, and then you can slide it off here. So we got that as far as it's going to go. So this plate's going to have a groove in it. You're going to have to slide your bumper out of the way. Let me grab a screwdriver. Let's be careful. If your bumper's good, you don't want to ruin it. So slide that up out of the way. To pop this out, and you pop that out, and go ahead and pull your spring off. This is going to stay on there, and we'll slide the bumper back down just for now. So that's apart, and this is why I took it apart. You got this weird wear mark. I'm pretty sure something just got lodged in between the body and the spring. I'm not too worried about it. You can't really feel it. It's just through the coating. So got that disassembled. We'll put it in the pile to be cleaned. So we're going to go ahead and pull apart these clamps. I already loosened the bottom nut for the bar clamp before I took it apart, just because I know it's a pain in the butt. But in case you don't, there is an easy way to do it. Take your bar clamp, throw that on, you can lay it down, get an old pair of handlebars or something, stick it in there. For leverage. That's done. Check these bad boys out. These are some old vintage rentals. Pink. So that's good. Now you can go ahead and pull these off. Like I said, you know, there's a million ways to do one thing, so just because I'm doing it this way doesn't mean it has to be done this way. I'm sure there's a lot of people that criticize the way other people do things. Who cares? As long as it works, it doesn't damage anything, then you're fine. So, got these loose, and pull these apart. Go ahead and get my ratchet wrench. So we gotta go ahead and get the ratchet wrench. It's easier. On this particular model, it's 14 millimeters, some are 17. I think some of the aftermarket, like Pro Taper ones, are they're 17s. have this, just give them a twist. Probably be a little seized in there. That'll be a good time to, you know, if you had a couple crashes, always good to check your rubber bushings. These washers like to flatten out, and if it has a flat side, it's gonna cock your bars. So honestly, it's just easier if you've had a couple crashes over the season. Just replace them. Sometimes you can get away with flipping them in the opposite direction that the bar is bent. But just replace them. Pro Taper makes aftermarket ones. You can get them at our store at Dutchess Rack, or you can get them online. I think they're probably like 12 bucks or something like that. They do different models, so you just got to look up the right part number for your model, and then you're in. Other places do neoprene ones. It's a little bit of a harder. And then I think like Zeta or someone else, they do the solid bar mount ones, which is just like a piece of aluminum that goes down into the to the recessed hole. I guess if you like that type of solid feel, if you're more of an old school guy, you probably might like that solid, more rigid feel. I don't. I already have hand cramp problems as it is. So pull these out. Might need a flathead to get the bottom ones out. Flying. Like I said, for the price, if you've had a couple crashes, just replace them. They're really not that bad. Set them aside. I'm already bleeding. Look at that. So, pull our nut off here. I mean, look how dirty that is. So, you get these things cleaned up good. These are May powder coat, I don't know, or not powder coat, Cerakote. I'm not sure yet. Now you're always going to have this little shim. Don't lose it. Make sure you record where it goes. I know where it goes because I've done it a million times, but some people lose them and they're kind of throw off the whole front end. You know, just with tightness and everything, things could seize up if you don't have that shim in there. Now first things first, a lot of grease on there. Take an old rag. Just try to get as much as you can off. This helps you in the long run. Not get a mess. You don't want to get all your cleaning brushes all greased up and everything. When I Cerakote, I always do a good degreasing. The process is pretty critical, so let's get as much as you can off. Then, like I said, we'll take these, your nuts, and these. Got room left to pick one. I'm going to throw them in there. Throw those in there. These. Put them in there. Just to keep things organized. These. So, got the clamps apart. You can take the clamp bolts out. It's up to you. I leave mine in. It doesn't really matter, honestly. Just remember, if you're sandblasting, get those holes plugged. I learned out the hard way once, so these are all ready to be cleaned, and then we'll show you how I clean my parts coming up. So we're disassembled everything. We're going to go ahead and clean this top clamp. I'm not going to clean every part on camera just because really no need for it. But I'll show you, steps that I take. I mean, it's so easy that it's sickening. It's just a matter of taking the time to do it, and it really makes a difference of having a good functioning, nice looking bike inside and out, not just what the eye can see. It might be a little overkill, but especially if you're trying to sell a bike or anything like that, it's really good to go do this process. If there's anyone out there that doesn't want to do it themselves, you can reach out to me. I can do full bike teardowns. We can work out a price. We'll go through everything, clean everything. If anything needs to be fixed, I will consult you first, obviously. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to clean this clamp, and we're going to be using just regular, good old Dawn dish detergent. This is not harsh. Obviously, it's got duckies on it. If it can clean the oil off the ducks, it can clean the oil off my parts, and it's not going to do anything or oxidize the aluminum or anything. I usually use a mixture of Simple Green and Dawn. I don't have Simple Green right now, so we're just going to be working with the Dawn. My tools are going to be Jesus. This brush. We got a parts washer brush. Got this brush. Got a little strainer for small parts. And we got some Scotch-Brite, but we're not going to use any Scotch-Brite for this part. We're just going to use probably the parts washer brush and this little like toilet brush, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to go ahead and get to town here. Easiest thing to do is I have this filled with just water and Dawn. Go ahead and let that sit in there for a minute, just to loosen some stuff up. You can go ahead and even clean the part while it's in there. It's up to you. I'm not wearing gloves because it's Dawn. If you want to wear gloves, that's fine. And maybe I should wear gloves, but using Dawn, I'm not really scared. So go ahead and I'll just quickly show. Just going to go in and get all the crevices while the part's in there. And you know it's working when you start to foam up here. Like I said, I'm not gonna show you cleaning every part because it's basically the same idea for everything. This brush, I mean, you could probably get one of these anywhere. It's just like a big paintbrush, but this one actually came with this little. This is like a Kawasaki parts washer. It was under a Kawasaki part number. Scoot from my job at Dutchess Rec. He had a couple of them that they weren't really in inventory, so he said, "Hey, take it home if you want." And man, I love this thing. You can fill it up with cleaner. It's even got a little spray nozzle. I don't know what happened to this thing. It's kind of sucks air or something. So I just have some cleaner inside the regular spray bottle. And yeah, I'm just gonna use a lot of pressure, get in where the fork tubes go. And especially, I mean, if you're planning on Cerakoting a part like this or getting it Cerakoted, I mean, obviously you'd probably just drop it off to the guy or me, and they'd clean it for you. But it's there'll be a real big difference here once it's said and done. So, I'm going to swap over. the tank, kind of get a little what's going on. Swap over to, it's a little shorter bristle, it's a little more coarse. So. I'm using, you know, a good amount of pressure, nothing crazy. Like I said, anyone can do this. It's really, it's not like I'm showing you anything special, but I mean, it does work. So, if you just take the time and take the elbow grease, a lot of people don't really want to do that, and it's sad because you see these kids getting their bikes, they take them right off the showroom floor, bring it home, and they're already ripping within 10 minutes. They don't even break that shit in, they don't do anything, and little do they know, these bikes, they don't even come greased from the factory. I mean, you got like, I think there's grease on the triple tree bearings, there's grease on like the front axle, because the tech in the back, usually that's what he has to put on, is the front wheel out of the crate, so he'll throw some grease on, hopefully, if he's knows what he's doing. But other than that, I mean, your linkage, your wishbone, all that swing arm, nothing has grease in it. It's like maybe a little bit of assembly lube, but it's not good enough. You know, my dad used to bust my balls. He used to say, he used to yell at me, "Why are you ripping your brand new bike apart?" And then I would show him, you know, look, this stuff doesn't come with any grease on it. And then there was one time at the track where my buddy, I'm not going to mention the name, but we couldn't get his axle bolt out, because when he got the bike, he never greased anything. He took it right home, and then that was it. He just didn't touch it. He just rode it and rode it and rode it. And I'm sitting there, you know, it took almost 45 minutes to get, you know, a damn axle out without damaging it. I mean, I could have, you know, I could have got it out quicker if I wanted to damage it, but it was just minutely banging it back and forth slowly without banging, you know, hurting anything. So, you know, a little off subject, but little stuff like this, it really matters. And if you don't want to do it, you know, there's always someone that can do it and wants to do it. And would gladly love to make a couple bucks doing it, like someone like me, or bring it to a dealership, or, you know, anything. This thing is, I can already tell this is going to be nice. That, I'm going to put it in here one more time. Good thing about this tank is overnight this stuff will all settle on the bottom. This brush is awesome just for getting in them grooves, for getting in the holes and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off with some hot water, and I'll show you the end result. There we are. So we got everything clean. Everything is spotless. Shock body's looking great. This is that wear spot. But I mean, everything's really good. Got all the rings cleaned up. Spring. Got my clamps. The AIRBOX. The AIRBOX is looking presto. So, like I said, this is easy for anyone to do. I'm not, you know, sitting here saying I'm special because I can clean this. I'm just trying to make a point. You can, with a little bit of time and elbow grease, you can really get your bike looking nice and keep it looking nice. There's really no excuse for it. I mean, there's no need for you to buy a bike and have to sell it in a year because it's friggin' blown out. That's stupid. You can keep a bike for years. I usually don't get a new bike until they change, you know, technology or whatever, or update everything, you know. So I can keep this bike for a couple years. So that's the plan. Just keep everything nice. You saw what this stuff looked like before. It was ravaged, and this stuff is mint. We knocked out a good portion of the big stuff already clean. So, you know, I can literally start putting some stuff back together if I wanted to, but I'm not, because I gotta do some Cerakoting. So that's it for video number 2. I'm really not, you know, gonna show too much of cleaning everything. just because there's no need for it. My next video will probably be I want to clean up the engine, so I'll show you how I do that safely without, you know, getting water inside of it and everything. It's really not that hard. So that'll be the next video. Hope you enjoy, guys. Give it a good subscribe. There's no reason, if you're watching it, if you got this far, to subscribe. Give it a like. Tell your friends. I know there's a lot of videos out there, guys doing what I'm doing, but it's always nice to have someone local in the Poughkeepsie area or whatever to, you know, show you. And if anyone has any questions or needs any work done or anything, feel free to hit me up. You can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. And that's that. So we'll see you in the next one. Peace.